And welcome back once again. Last Saturday, the New York Times published a scathing report following a year-long investigation that detailed rampant and unchecked abuse within the walls of the more than 2,000 state-run homes for the developmentally and physically disabled. This report has generated a lot of outraged reaction, including the termination of some of the workers of those facilities, and it is also getting the attention of state lawmakers who say that this issue must be addressed and perhaps even with legal action. Joining me now to discuss this problem and how they should be addressed is, in the Capital Region in particular, is Senator Roy McDonald. He is the chair of the Mental Health Committee.
That's
is that correct? Right.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. So this is really, I read this and was shocked. I think that most people probably
shocked, saddened, outraged, and it was just terrible. I read it Sunday morning, and one of the incidents that they referred to happened in Hudson Falls, New York, in Washington County in 2006, and I was an assembly representative for that area at that time. They never informed me that this was happening literally blocks from my district office. And, you know, we in the Senate and the Assembly, regardless of the political backgrounds, want to work with the governor. This has got to be cleaned up. It's got to be cleaned up now. And I think we're going in the right direction. So we try to react very quickly to it. And
the incident that you're speaking of, it happened just before Christmas in 2006, and it had to do with a supervisor who was discovered in the bedroom of a severely disabled 54-year-old woman, apparently had sexually abused her, and instead of being disciplined, was transferred.
Right. I think incidents like this go immediately to the local police departments, the district attorney's office, the attorney general, the legal law enforcement officials. Nobody is above the law. Nobody. And certainly if that isn't a case of potential crime, I don't know what is.
But it wasn't referred,
It wasn't, and I think whoever glossed over that should be brought, you know, in by the appropriate authorities and say, you got to justify your actions, or you're actually working in, you know, you're part of a crime. This is crime. The laws are on the books. You don't hurt anybody anytime, anywhere. Unless there's a legitimate reason. And certainly people need their day in court. And I think that Felix Ortiz, my counterpart, who is the chairperson of the Assembly Mental Health Committee, as well as the governor's people, we're all on the same page. Okay, you get your day in court, it's America, the process goes through, but on the other hand, nobody commits a crime without having it reported.
Now, you've actually not been in the Senate all that long.
No.
But some of this stuff really dates back quite a long time, and you've heard people complain about it, not you personally necessarily, but you've heard some complaints, certainly.
Well,
the legislature's received them. I mean, do you think that the legislature should have been more aggressive in its oversight to the degree that it has any?
It's hard because these are agencies that are run by the executive branch.
Right.
And, you know, we've had kind of a turmoil in the last 4 years with different governors. And,
you could say that again, Senator.
Now it's time, and I think our new governor, I think the Senate, I think the Assembly recognizes it's time to govern. And, you know, we're doing that economically in the budget in a variety of areas, and we're going to have to do that in the very systems.
Yeah, but aren't you concerned? Now, certainly the governor has moved very quickly to replace, force the ouster, really, of the people who are the head of these agencies. However, he has also, because of the fiscal problems that the state is facing, called for an across-the-board 10% cut, has it not?
Well, it's actually 3.6%.
Pardon me, sorry.
Yeah, 3.6% in mental health. But I met with his folks yesterday, and their commitment to restructuring and implementing a comprehensive review and implementing, you know, responsible, you know, solutions to this problem, I think, is very sincere. And my commitment and Assemblyman Ortiz's commitment is we're going to work with them every inch of the way. We're going to be a partner. And this is an issue that the three branches, or the three different entities, the Assembly, the Senate, and the governor's office, we have the same mission, and the mission is to protect those innocent people. The governor has said that in his State of the State address, and I'm saying it here, and I know my counterparts in the Assembly feel the same way. You help the people who can't help themselves. Many of us, myself included, have serious disability situations in our own family that will more than likely end up being in these type of institutions. So it's not only am I speaking as a senator, I'm speaking from the heart as a grandfather. And this is the issues. We won't let this falter. I think the new governor is accepted this responsibility, even though he did not cause it or his people, but he jumped right on it immediately. I'm in admiration of that. I know that people on both sides of the aisle in the Senate are right with us, and the same with the Assembly. It's our mission not to let the state leadership lose focus and forget about it, because that's what happened in the last 4 years.
Isn't there
or
also
longer.
a problem here a little bit, particularly when you speak of your personal experience, of stigma? I mean, look, let's just be realistic. I mean, you're talking about people who have to be institutionalized because they can't take care of themselves, but on the flip side, not people who, people want to see, generally speaking.
Well,
and they're hidden away in homes and then subsequently forgotten about.
I'm appreciative that you brought that up. It's very difficult, when your own family structure, something like this happens, or your friends, your family, your neighbor, that somebody with a disability, it comes about. And I know my own family structure, we never expected it. It changed our lives. It changed us personally. And it gave me a different outlook. And I know it gives our society a different outlook, but it's up to people like me and my colleagues in the Senate, the Assembly, and our governor. It's up to us to turn around and explain to the general public, this is America. We don't leave anybody behind. And this is the way it's supposed to be.
Isn't part of the problem also at group homes? I mean, these are difficult jobs, first of all.
Right.
They're jobs that you have to have around-the-clock care. You have to have somebody there all of the time.
Direct care, absolutely.
These people, and yet the training is very low. The pay is very low.
Pay is low. The training's low. The background checks and just
are
the
negligible at best.
Just the overall management in general. And I think the governor's people recognize that putting a better system together, putting emphasis on training and education, and telling the public there's some things that we have to be very careful with, that we can't shortchange. And that's the safety of these people who need us the most.
So would you advocate then, I mean, first of all, I should say you're going to hold hearings with Felix Ortiz. You're going to hold them around the state. And it's quite clear, thanks to this journalism, and Danny Hakem is a great reporter, so thanks to this piece of journalism and then the fallout from it, that there's a problem that's systemic and needs to be addressed. Would you advocate, say, paying people more, instituting?
Well, I'm gonna defer to the results of the comprehensive review, but I think it's inevitable that we recognize that manpower, the quality of the manpower, the training, the education, the background checks, and the overall serious responsibility. It may be a lot wiser to pay these folks for what they're doing, to treat them and educate them in an appropriate fashion, because if you don't, you're going to have litigation. Besides that, if you don't, you're not meeting your moral obligations as a public official.
Well, but that said, Senator, I mean, the issue is that, again, it brings us back to the stigma question, right? I mean, if you go to people and say, hey, we have a limited amount of resources and we need to choose between taking care of the developmentally disabled and teaching kids in school, already we're having a fight over funding for education.
I have a lot of faith in the general public, and ever since I've been involved in the mental health community the last couple of years, people have stopped me all over the Capital Region, and they've given their own personal testimonials of their own circumstances with their families and such. And it's my observation that when I talk to the public, I'm not getting a lot of negative feedback saying don't do what you're doing. They're very sympathetic. Now, what we have to do is articulate it, be efficient, be good managers. But I think we're going to get the support of the general public. And as you pointed out, that story, anybody who read that story in the New York Times on Sunday, or a copy of it after that, if you've got a heart, you're going to be sympathetic.
When you say a legal task force that might be conceived to review abuse complaints that have not already been addressed to law enforcement, and this is going to become a legal issue, do you suspect that we're going to be looking at lawsuits? And if that's the case, I mean, again, the state's going to end up, A, litigating in court, which is expensive, and B, settling.
I'm not responsible for what's happened in the past. But on the other hand, I'm going to defer to our Attorney General and the district attorneys in the individual communities, what they think is appropriate, the timing.
Do you think there needs to be an investigation by the Attorney General?
Absolutely. What I'm going with is I'm working closely with the governor's office in the review. We're going to make this a team effort. So whatever we come up with, we know that the Assembly, the Senate, and the executive office is on the same page. You're going to see major changes. And we're going to do it soon, and I think it's appropriate to let the governor's people lead the charge. He showed so far that he's up to the task. He immediately reacted with a change of personnel, and I believe that we're going to, everything's on the table, which means law enforcement, if the crimes are within the statute of limitations. I'm not an attorney, but I don't believe that people should go without being punished that have done these. Just unbelievably barbarian things.
Do you have a date yet set, a schedule for these hearings?
We're waiting for the new Commissioner Burke. Commissioner Burke, she's a wonderful candidate. It will go through my committee for confirmation in the Senate. I don't see why it wouldn't be confirmed. I don't know of anything as of now. And once she is confirmed, then her team, they will be coming and working with the Assembly, Felix Ortiz and myself, and you know, she'll be representing the governor and the executive branch. And I think that that article, that study, and the testimonials coming out of family members and friends throughout the state it's going to give us motivation to be the best at what we're doing in any state in the country. And you've got, and I stress this, both sides of the aisle. This is not a partisan issue. This is a human issue. Nobody I've talked to who's a responsible man or woman doesn't want to combat this and make this right.
Well, Senator Roy McDonald, I want to thank you very much for joining us. It's good to see you, as always.
Nice to see you.